You need more disk space, so do I. Here are some tips for how to free up some disk space on your computer so you don't have to go buying some new hardware. Most of this is Windows oriented. Sorry, I'm just not a Mac guy. In Windows, you can go into the File Explorer here, find the disk drive that's out of disk space, like your C drive here, right click it, Properties, and then Disk Cleanup. This will process it for a second, and then it'll pop up this dialog box, and you can see it's going to show you some stuff that can be cleared up. For example, some of it's not going to be selected, but you can feel free to select it. Go ahead and delete your system error memory dump files, because like, when was the last time you went back to that, right? It's not that useful. Of course, you can throw out your recycle bin and your temporary files. Pretty much all of this can be selected, and then you click OK and it will free it up. You can also click clean up system files here and it'll add a couple of more things to it, which might or might not buy you much more disk space. So that's often enough to get you started. The next thing you might want to do is go into your browser and clear out the cache. Now, I don't know what browser you use. I use Chrome. Everybody uses Chrome, right? What you could do is go to this little mark here and then more tools and then clear browsing data. And then you can go into like browsing history here. Oh, wait, that's not actually what you want. You just want cached images and files. This is what's going to give you the real payback, and you can clear that. You don't necessarily need to clear that. Okay. Now open up File Explorer and you can go to these folders and find a bunch of files that might still have stuff that can be deleted in them. So just visit each one of these. You can literally type parenthesis or a percentage 10%, and it will take you there. These are hidden under user profile, which is why I use the % user profile %. It's just a variable basically. And feel free to delete those files. Now, this might not show you every folder that has a bunch of useless files in it. For that, I like to use a tool called WinDirStat, which is a terribly named tool that is completely free. WinDirStat. Fire it up, and now you can select the drive that you want to analyze and click OK, and it's going to scan that entire drive and add up the size of each files in every single folder, and it will show you a nice little chart. And what it will do is tell you which folders are consuming the most space on your computer. And you're probably going to be surprised by some of the files, especially the first time you run it. You'll be amazed, like, oh my God, I can't believe I had so many gigabytes of files that I'm not even using anymore. Maybe you have some old Steam game installed that's taking up a huge amount of space. Maybe that's just me. So after you clear up everything you can with WinDirStat, I'm going to walk you through some more photographer specific stuff that using Adobe Lightroom. The first thing that I would do in Adobe Lightroom is I go through and I delete my 1-star pictures. That's part of my overall workflow when I ingest pictures and I kind of cull them. If there are pictures that are out of focus, blurry, just there's no reason I'd ever want to use it, those are the only pictures that I give 1 star. Then when I'm out of disk space, I go through and I know I can just delete all 1-star pictures. I never want to delete pictures, but once I'm completely out of disk space and I have no choice, suddenly that seems like an appealing option. So use 1 star just for the images you want to delete. Another trick that doesn't require you to delete pictures is to convert your raw images to DNG files. DNG is Adobe's digital negative file. It's a type of raw file, whereas say Canon uses CR2 as their raw files. Canon files in particular do not use any sort of compression, even lossless compression, so the files are unnecessarily large. There's just empty space in there. If you convert them to DNG, you can free up a lot of that disk space. So you can go into your library here and just search for your raw images. So here what I've done is I opened up a text filter with the file name contains CR2. And you don't have to do that. You can just select all the images in your library and it will work. I'll hit Control-A to select all those images. And then under Library, I'll select Convert Photos to DNG. This opens up this little dialog here. Of course, you want to select Only Convert Raw File. Make sure that's selected and delete originals after successful conversion. Otherwise, you'll just be making a second copy of all these files, and that will take up more disk space. The file extension doesn't matter, nor does the compatibility either. It's going to generate a JPEG preview for you. Now, you'll see if you want to really save space and you don't care that much about your raw files, you can select Use Lossy Compression, but I wouldn't select that. And then when you're done, just click OK. And Lightroom will go through and convert those raw files into DNG files and delete your original raw file. And generally, there's no loss of data whatsoever. The only thing that might be lost is if there was something camera specific embedded in there. But my experience is it's never been an issue with my Canon CR2 files, especially. I always do that, and it frees up a ton of space. And those DNG files are generally more universal. You can also optimize the catalog in Lightroom. We'll switch back over to Lightroom here, and that option is File, Optimize Catalog, and this will take a little bit, so I won't run it now. Just click Optimize, and it can't hurt, right? Next, you're going to remove unnecessary Lightroom backups. Lightroom will regularly make a backup of your catalog if you let it. You know that thing where it's always bugging you? Do you want to back up your catalog now? To find your catalog, go to Edit, Catalog Settings, and then on the General tab here, click the Show button. This is just going to open up an Explorer window where your catalog is. And then dig into the Lightroom catalog and then Backups catalog. And often I'll have like 10 backups here. You probably don't need 10 backups. Like one backup is probably fine. So you could just free up the space by deleting all the ones you don't necessarily need. Next, you can go into Lightroom and actually remove your one-to-one previews. If you're like me and you render one-to-one previews, those take up a ton of space. And assuming Lightroom still has access to the original file, you can always regenerate them. To do that, go into Lightroom and Library, Previews, discard one-to-one previews. But by default, Lightroom will clear up your old one-to-one previews anyway, like the ones that are older than 30 days. That's also under Edit, Catalog Settings, and then the File Handling tab, and you'll see automatically discard one-to-one previews after 30 days. But if you're in an emergency and you really need to delete those previews, that option is available too. Finally, I'll suggest you move your files off to another drive when you can't squeeze any more space out of it. My main system drive is a 2 terabyte like fast SSD, but 2 terabytes is not going to be enough for all my files and all my pictures. So what I have is a Synology NAS, a network attached storage, which is just a big old hard drive connected to the network. And when I fill up my C drive, I'll copy them over to the NAS. I can still access them pretty quick because I have smart previews located on my local fast drive, but they're out there on the network and it all moves pretty quickly. The way you'll do that is in the grid view here, go under the folders tab. It's really kind of antiquated, but you can see like I have the videos folder here on my NAS. I can grab a catalog or grab a folder and then just drag it down to one of the folders and let go. You don't want to move your pictures in Explorer or else Lightroom will lose track of them and you have to go back and kind of manually link them up. So instead use this ponderous folders user interface. I've asked Adobe to please change that user interface, but for now, that's what you have to do. We're going to have a couple of videos coming out about network attached storage in a little bit. But if you're interested in a Synology NAS, you can visit sdp.io/NAS. I'll say as a work group, the team here, we've all been using the NAS and it's made a big difference to our workflow. And it's so nice to not be filling up my disk all the time and to be able to get to my files from the internet and everything else. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about Adobe Lightroom, check out my Lightroom book at Amazon. It has great reviews. Visit sdp.io/L. If you have any other tips, write a comment down below. Thanks all. Bye.